Aha, there you are. I'm really getting into this new intro music. You can actually work out to it. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, hello and welcome once again to Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. The channel that's devoted 100% to the life and career of Elvis Presley. It's a drama-free zone. No drama here, I promise you. I trust you're all well on this day. Now, some people it's morning, like for instance, Jack Mullins, it's morning because he's in California. Always ends rather abruptly, that music. So yeah, if you're in say California, it's good morning to you. If you're in New York, it's good afternoon. Memphis, good afternoon, Memphis as well. 1:30, as you can see the clock just above me. And if you're in Australia, it's probably good evening. Apparently, there are all those sort of people watching me now, and I do appreciate every single one of you. So wherever you are in the world, thank you very, very much for tuning in. What have we got for you today? Well, we've got This Day in Elvis History, Fan of the Month quiz, live interactive poll. Don't forget, I Wish Elvis Had Recorded, Photoshop of the Week. You can call me later on live and free on WhatsApp. There's the telephone number, +353 879 598819 if you're outside of Ireland. Instagram and Facebook Messenger as well. And it's all that's free. I'd like you to check out as well Elvis Radio 24-hour. Broadcasts Elvis Presley to the entire world 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. His songs, rehearsals, alternative takes, live performances, the lot. Now, before we go any further, I need to clear something up. Last week, we were talking about the new movie that is supposed to be coming out next year. Sofia Coppola is directing it. It's based on Elvis and Me. And there was a photograph that I showed, and it's that one there. And it isn't actually a promotion or a still or anything from the movie. In fact, quite a few people pointed this out to me. Thank you very, very much. I'm grateful for that. I am human and I still make mistakes. Apparently, actually, Tom H. said that the pic of the actor as Elvis was taken over a year ago. Him and his girlfriend, is it Kai Gerber, Cindy Crawford's daughter, I think that's how you pronounce it, went as Elvis and Priscilla, and that's the photograph that they were taken of them, and that's the pic. It has nothing to do with the movie. A coincidence is she's currently dating Austin Butler. There you go. So there is a bit of a coincidence. So I just wanted to clear that up. So for everybody, including myself, that said, look, he doesn't look anything like Elvis, and that doesn't look anything like the picture that we know of Elvis and Priscilla taken in December 1970. And then there was other ones as well with Lisa Marie. That's just simply because that was just a spontaneous one-off sort of pose, and it wasn't meant to have any reflection on this new movie. Now, if you do want to ring in about the new Elvis movie because you didn't get a chance last week, please do. I'll let you know when the phone lines are open. I also want to just remind you of Leslie Pilling's Oscar night, Saturday, March the 25th. She's asked me to mention it to you. It's in Haydock Park Golf Club in Newton Le Willows. Now, obviously, this is only really of interest if you're in the UK or Ireland or maybe even the continent Europe, because it's quite close to you. The US, it might be a little bit far for you to come. You never know, but if you're in the UK on the 25th of March, they've got Phil Shakespeare's Elvis Big Screen Disco. The tickets are £25 sterling per person, only available in advance from, as you can see, Leslie Pilling 61 at gmail.com. And the beautiful Lauren Knight will be guest starring as well there for Leslie and everybody. And the auction, I've been told that the this is exclusive to me. Leslie only told me this afternoon. They have added some props from the movie covering the 50s, 60s and 70s for auction. So as you can see, it says some awesome Elvis lots. Well, they are because they're props from the movie. So get your tickets in advance. They are selling quick, but there are still some left. So you can get them from lesliepilling61@gmail.com. Now, that's all out of the way. And we're going to be doing, as I said, all those other things I mentioned. But first of all, we've got to do the quiz, which is always, well, I think it's a lot of fun anyway. And it's, what are we playing for? I'll tell you what we're playing for. We're playing for this. We're playing for a copy of the new Baz Luhrmann movie, Elvis. Now, I know a lot of you have got this. Maybe you could give it to somebody. If you've already got it, you could maybe put it in somebody's Christmas box, maybe. Let me just get rid of that for a second, and that so you can see the Elvis one a bit more clearly. Yeah, so even if you have got it, maybe give it to somebody else who you know is an Elvis fan, or maybe interested in seeing it. So you can have it in DVD, you can have it in Blu-ray, or you can have it in 4K. The winner can choose. That is what we are playing for this month. Alrighty? So if Maxine is ready, I know her name was on here a couple of minutes ago. Hi, Lou Dane. Thanks very much. Lou Dane, I think, is heading for Graceland next week and Sun Studios and all that. So have a great time, Lou Dane, and thanks very much for the coffee, by the way. Don't forget, you can, if you do want to support the channel and you appreciate the efforts that I do put into this show and you think I do an okay job, you can buy me coffee using the link in the description box below. And Lou Dane says, yes, thank you. Well, I hope you have a great time, Lou. And you can send us plenty of photographs, and I can, if we have some, you know, if there's a particular photograph you want to take that I can use as a backdrop, maybe send it to me in landscape sort of format that's longer than it is taller, and it'll fit on the screen just beautiful. Right, now here we go. The quiz is ready to rock and roll. I don't see Maxine, but I can always look and try and keep an eye out for who answers first, who gets the correct answer first. So what have we got as far as the questions? Oh, I love it. We've got a couple of... The mystery voice. We're starting with a couple of mystery voices. And this first one... Colin. Hi, Colin. Yeah, such a great backdrop. Yes, you were there. You've recorded an album here, haven't you? Which I believe is going to be out soon. Just tell us, you can tell us on the comments there what the title is going to be. Right, so this is a bit of a tricky one. However, if you listen to what this person is talking about, you might get it right. And or am I going to am I going to trip everybody up for the very, very first time and we have a blank? Here it is, voice number one.
And he handed me the check, and he said to me, now, what are you going to do with this money? I said, I'm going to take Elvis Presley on tour. And he said, well, could you use an accountant? I'd like to go with you. This was the president of the bank. Anyway, I got that $1 million, and I went over to see Colonel Parker. Now, I had no contract. I had no idea what the deal was. I just knew that I was going to be in business with Elvis Presley.
Okay, well, I can see there a couple of people have got it, but the first person, as far as I can see, is Jack Mullins. And it is Jerry Weintraub, yes. Yeah, Elvis Austin, David Lund. The clue in the sample there, and if I think it's too difficult, I always leave a little bit of a clue in there, like I did last week. One of them I thought was quite difficult. John Peters, the producer of A Star Is Born, but I had him talking about the movie and Elvis. So well done, Jack.
I missed it this time. We'll call a break. Call the group.
Okay, so yeah, Jack. Well done, Jack. you're out of the blocks. Now, mystery voice number 2.
The mystery voice.
I just love playing that. Here we go. Mystery voice number 2.
I was just thinking, we could be anywhere else but Franklin, Tennessee tonight. So many places we could be. But all of us chose to be in this theater to celebrate the life of the greatest entertainer of our generation, Elvis Presley.
Okay, so let's have a look. The banjo pole is a big. Okay, Doug Dickerson says Wink, and Jack Mullins says Wink Martindale. I'm going to give it to Doug, and I'll tell you the reason why is because Wink is good enough. Well done, Doug. Now, what a great voice. What a great radio voice, a great broadcasting voice that Wink Martindale has, that lovely, sort of deep. I wish I had that voice. I wish I had that broadcasting voice. I really do. So well done, Doug.
I missed it this time. We'll call a break. Call the group.
You're in for the Blu-ray if you haven't already got it, or the DVD, or the 4K. Unfortunately, it looks like we've lost Maxine. I hope she's okay. I hope she hasn't had to run out on an emergency. Wink was in Memphis with Elvis at the start. Yeah, there's that great interview, isn't there, around about June 1956. Poor Elvis looks like he's absolutely tired out. He can barely stand. He's leaning on a jukebox or something, and he's nearly falling asleep. And he's telling Wink about them doing a gold ring for the door prize at July the 4th, Rustwood Park. But he looks absolutely, thanks David, he looks absolutely spent, worn out. Love that interview. Raffled the diamond ring. Yes, it wasn't actually on that night. I think it was for he was telling everybody about Rustwood Park, I believe. So we've got one more sound clip, but it's not a mystery voice now. It's from thank you, Gigi, that's very kind. This is from a movie, and you've got to tell me what movie this is from. So listen closely.
Do you know, it was all I could do to keep from jumping up on that stage.
Oh, knock it off, will you? You just demolished me and you stand there yapping as if nothing happened.
You're cute.
No, you're cute.
The way you sing, the way you drive, the way you get mad.
The chipmunk has pneumonia, says spin out. Girl happy, loving you. Spin out, says Elvis Austin, loving you. It was actually spin out. So I'm going to give the...
I missed it this time. We'll call a break. Call the group.
Chipmunk. It's just after she sort of... he spins out. Off the road. And he's in the lake, or he's in a pond or a pool or something, and she's on the bridge, and that's when that exchange takes place. Right, name Elvis's character in Spin Out. What was Elvis's character in Spin Out? Who can give me that? Gracie G says, I have a charming accent. I'm blushing here. Yeah, he's gone in the river, says Timothy Lee. Okay, 10:15. Elvis says Mike. I'm going to give it to 10:15.
This time we'll call a break. Call the group.
Okay, well done. 10:15. Yeah, Mike McCoy. Yeah, right. So this is a tricky one, especially if you're in the US. But if you know your Elvis, you're going to get it. What was the name called? Sorry, what was the movie called in the UK? Can anybody tell me what the movie was called in the UK? I see there's a lot of Mike McCoys there. Well done, everybody. Tracy Heenan says Shelley Fabaret. Yes. Well done. Rockstars has got California Holiday. I mentioned that when I was doing all the movies, actually. Rockstars. I'll just put Rockstars down there. Thanks, Rockstars. I mentioned that when I was going through all the movies there a while back, a few months ago, I showed the cover as well of California Holiday. This is for you, by the way, Rockstars.
This time we'll call a break. Call the group.
And it was renamed California Holiday, not Spin Out. And finally, question number 6, and this is the last of the month as well. This is the last question of September's Fan of the Month. So I'm going to total up the winners during the week, and somebody is going to be announced next week as the winner of the Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, whatever you want. And as I say, if you've already got it, you can either keep it as a spare or maybe gift it to somebody. Try and turn them onto Elvis. And basically, the question is, 12 tracks on the original LP. There was 6 on one side and 6 on another. What was track 1 on side 2? What was the first track on side 2 of the original LP of Spin Out? And Glenn says, you guys are so quick. LS says, I'll be back. No. Elvis Austin says, Spin Out. Rockstar says Spin Out. Gracie G says, oh, that's a hard one. Jack says Spin Out. I haven't got a clue, says 1015 Elvis. Well, do you know, I'm giving it to Elvis Austin.
I missed it this time. We'll call a break. Call the group.
Because it was actually the title track, which is kind of strange because you'd have thought that Spin Out would have been the very, very start of the album with it being called Spin Out. But it wasn't, it was track 1 on side 2. So well done, everybody. Thank you very, very much for taking part in that with good humour, as always. And next week, I will announce who's won the DVD, Blu-ray, stroke, whatever. Let's see now. We're going to be doing the poll, and I'm going to be opening the phone lines in a minute. And the reason why I'm going to be opening the phone lines is because I want to go through this topic that I've come across. Oh, by the way, there's Sophia, who's going to be directing this new movie called Priscilla, as far as I know. And yeah, that's the fellow that's going to be playing Elvis. But as you can see on the screen in the red box, the red topic box, as I call it, Aloha ends Elvis's career, ? Plus the new movie, because if you do want to ring in about that new movie that you didn't get a chance last week and you wanted to, or after seeing the replay of the show last week, you want to ring in, that's fine. But this is an article that I came across a week or two ago. I'm not going to tell you what magazine it was from because, it doesn't really matter because there's a lot of people that think like this. There's a lot of journalists that think like this. There's a lot of non-Elvis fans and some Elvis fans that think this, that Aloha finished Elvis's career. In fact, after Elvis's career, that was it. Nothing else happened in his career. And the article goes on to say, with a handful of exceptions, the gigs he played in his last years were sad, sloppy affairs. Elvis struggled to remember his lyrics and get through the night without collapsing. I mean, do we really, really think that? Without collapsing? I would have thought those sort of things would have been in the minority, not the vast majority. But that's what they're driving at. There were brief moments of brilliance, like his performances of Unchained Melody near the end, but most everything from the final 4 years of his life is sad and hard to watch. Okay, right. Everybody has their opinion. This journalist obviously is the opinion of this. To many, his final moment of true brilliance came on January the 14th, 1973, when millions of people tuned in to see his Aloha from Hawaii via satellite concert. Using satellite technology to beam the show to every market on the planet that had waited nearly 20 years in vain to see Elvis Presley in the flesh. Had Elvis lived, the world could have hypothetically experienced the joys of a new wave Elvis album. Elvis standing shoulder to shoulder with Bob Dylan and Michael Jackson at We Are the World sessions. Elvis joining the Traveling Wilburys in 1989 and Elvis working with Rick Rubin in the 1990s. On a stripped-down comeback album for American recordings. Sadly, Aloha from Hawaii stands as the final document of a time where the future still looked bright for Elvis Presley. So that's quite a damning article. I've tidied it up a little bit and I've edited it. There is a lot more to that article, but I just wanted to give you the salient points, what this journalist was the point that he was trying to make. Now, there's some milestones after January 73. You've got Memphis 1974 is homecoming concerts, I suppose you could call them, although he did sort of appear in Memphis as well after that as well. We've got that fabulous album as recorded on stage in Memphis. New Year's Eve 1975, 31st of December 1975 was a historic show in many ways for Elvis and his fans. This was the first time that Elvis had performed on New Year's Eve show since 1955, and this show would become the highest attended Elvis concert ever. Just before the end of the show, the 60,000 plus in the Pontiac Silverdome that night were treated to an excerpt of Wooden Heart. So, I mean, that concert is available on YouTube and so forth and online, so you can watch it if you like. And it's a good concert, fantastic concert, and Elvis was in great form. 1976. Right, okay. The last show in this very high-quality tour was the famous New Year's Eve show in Pittsburgh, with Elvis wearing the Black Phoenix suit for the first time in over a year and performing 29 fantastic songs, including rarities such as Rags to Riches. He sat down at the piano to sing that, and that is definitely worth a listen. Definitely worth a listen. And the final of 2 Auld Lang Synes before introducing his father and daughter to the audience. Other highlights from the show are the really heard live versions of Reconsider Baby and the great Funny How Time Slips Away. Not to mention many other successful Vegas seasons and tours across the US. What about the albums? We've got Today, great album. Promised Land, I thought Promised Land was a great album. Some people say it's only okay. Other people say the Stax sessions were a bit iffy. Some of the material wasn't great, but then again, some of it was absolutely superb. The December sessions were probably, Elvis was more focused in December than he was in July of 73. But that's, to me, I think that's just a bit of a mess, to be honest, to say that his last crowning glory was Aloha from Hawaii. His final moment of true brilliance came on January the 14th, 1973. Okay. Right. So everything he did after the 14th of January was just nothing and a waste of time, was it? Okay. Is that what you think? It's certainly not what I think. And with that, I'm going to do the poll, and I'm going to open the phone lines. So just watch for the banner on the screen in a minute that says that the phone lines are open. I'm sure there's people out there who want to give me and everybody else their opinion on why after January the 14th, 1973, his career just seems to have been almost non-existent to a lot of people. Not to people like me and you out there, but to a certain extent, even Graceland neglect his career after 1973. I mean, you will go, if you go on to Graceland.com and you look at the timeline and the biography, it does go past 1973. Obviously, it goes past 1973, but it's not as detailed after 1973. So I want to do this poll, and I want to ask your opinion on this. Which one of these is your favorite? 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, 1977 CBS Elvis in concert. So there, you can see it there coming up now in the chat box, and please vote. I don't know who votes for what. I just see how many people vote and how many vote for each option. And that's it. So the more people that vote, the more of a sort of an accurate picture we get of it, I suppose. And yeah, I'll leave that open until near the end of the show. If you're watching this on playback, you're not going to see it, but you will hear me give the answer and the verdict at the end of the show. Which one was your favorite? 1968 TV special, which some people say the comeback special. 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, and 1977 CBS Elvis in concert. And we know what Elvis's voice was like in the 1977 CBS concert. Extremely good. So, phone lines open. Call in now. So, how do I do this? I select that, I think, don't I? And that should open the phone lines. Coming up will be Elvis history, Photoshop. We have a caller already. That's great. All right, here we go. Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Yes, hello there.
It's Duncan. How are you?
Hi, Duncan.
This one got me quite fired up, Steve.
Good.
I have to say.
Good. I'm glad. I like it when a topic gets people fired up because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I suppose if we're looking for a reason might be that for folk to think that might be, I suppose it was his last number one album.
Right.
It was maybe the last time he was seen before a large media audience. Because when he was seen thereafter, like the CBS especially didn't look as well.
Yeah.
But the issue I've got is I think there's been a move to suggest that artistically there was little of note after Aloha. Yeah, it was all downhill after that.
I mean, basically, it was just sort of Vegas and the tours and studio albums. There was no more movies or anything.
Yeah, but I think this narrative that is pushed that it was all downhill from then on isn't true. Simply isn't true.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of that article talks about live shows, but even if you look at studio recordings. Mm-hmm. If you look at tracks like Raised on Rock from 73, It's Midnight, 74, Pieces of My Life, 75.
Brilliant.
TROUBLE, for people that say that there was nothing up-tempo, no rock.
Another favourite of mine would have been My Boy from the Stax Studios sessions.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that EPE's portrayal tends to ignore particularly most of 76, 77.
Yeah.
As if it didn't exist, almost an attempt to rewrite history.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong, and it's something of an insult to his memory. I understand why they did it, and being charitable, I suppose, if maybe it came from a good place, but perhaps trying to protect an image. But I think it was at the expense of some significant aspects of his legacy being largely unknown by non-Elvis fans.
I did hear EPE put a statement out once about why Elvis in concert hadn't been released. And they said... I
remember reading it, yes.
Yeah, and they said they didn't want him open to ridicule.
Yeah.
That was the reason they gave.
And I get that, and I understand what they mean. But if you take the Graceland sessions, for example, which I think are really, really underrated.
Yeah.
I had another listen through... You know, the Last Farewell box set of all the sessions?
Yeah.
I tend to listen through that around about Elvis Week. And I listened to some again this afternoon. And the narrative portrayed by the media is of a man who's fed up with life, music, career, and is morose. I mean, you listen to those raw tapes, that's not the man you hear.
He doesn't come across as morose or depressed or anything.
Absolutely not. You hear him laughing. There's the jokes about the dog barking, shooting the phone off the wall, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the man that he always was. I'd love to see a critical reappraisal of those Graceland sessions to happen after the movie and the momentum from the movie. If you take other artists' albums like Sinatra's Wee Small Hours, are critically acclaimed for dealing with the same subject matter as from Elvis Presley Boulevard does. Lost love, hurt. And when you listen to those tracks, the way Elvis actually recorded them, without Felton's overdubs, you hear a man bearing his very soul.
Yeah.
And probably, I think, one of the most authentic displays of genuine emotion and realism in the history of popular music.
Well, you've heard me say many times, I was never a big fan of Felton's overdubs. It was something, I liked the raw tapes. I liked the way it sounded when Elvis was actually in the studio.
I think the only thing that comes close to that is the Johnny Cash American albums, his tail end ones. Yeah. And they are critically acclaimed in a way that the Graceland Sessions output isn't. And, you know, yes, but where there are bits of the raw emotion and this little imperfections in places add to the authenticity of that moment. But sadly, I think it was those aspects that Felton seemed to want to mask with the overdubs on the original releases. And it's like hearing them for the first time when you hear them without those overdubs. And we're talking about a man, as ill as we now know he was, giving his all for his fans. And it actually upsets me that this period is dismissed in the way it is. Well, if you think about tracks like Hurt, Bitter They Are.
Oh, yeah.
She Thinks I Still Care, Solitaire. It just goes on. They're amazing in their emotionality and in their power.
Yeah.
And I just hope that with the success of the movie, which did cover, it didn't ignore the end, and it covered it in a sensitive way.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a repackaging of some of the Graceland Sessions without the overdubs for the general public, because they don't know these tracks.
No,
Us fans do, but they don't.
But it's unfortunate that the media seems to have an agenda from sort of 73 to 77, you know, that was the end for Elvis, and he never did anything good after 73, which is nonsense, of course, we know.
It is, and there's so much there that is of quality that people haven't heard, and there's such an opportunity for an incredible concept album using some of those later tracks.
I hope it happens. What a great idea! What a great idea!
It's just upsetting to see that he made himself emotionally vulnerable to his fans through his, and folks say he didn't have an artistic direction. Of course he did.
Yes.
And you see him even in those Graceland sessions, you see him directing what's happening. See him arranging as he always did.
Yeah.
And this nonsense that he was past it by then and he didn't have it anymore is an absolute nonsense.
I mean, he was joking around and laughing and saying all the things that he said sort of 6 years before during the filming of, That's the Way It Is.
Absolutely.
So,
and the quality of some of those tracks is just stunning to listen to.
Yeah.
And I think on the back of the narrative of the movie, there's an opportunity there for people wanting to hear those recordings.
Yeah.
And it's about there being enough vision to put together a concept album with that and promote it, and try to say that he was an artist of critical merit right up to the end, because he was.
Well said, Duncan. Thanks very much for your call.
Lovely to talk to you,
All
Steve.
the best.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I also want to just put in a personal favourite of mine as well. Duncan actually listed a few of the really, really, what I would term as, top recordings from the Jungle Room sessions. It's Easy for You is another personal favourite of mine from the Jungle Room sessions. David Lunds says, "You're a great fan, Duncan." He certainly is, and he speaks very passionately about the subject. I see there's still people voting on this. Which ones is your favourite? 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, 1977 CBS Elvis in Concert TV special. If you're watching this on playback, you can still leave your comments below on that question and tell me which one you would have picked. 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, 1977 CBS Elvis in Concert, the very, very last concert, which wasn't shown until after Elvis's death, posthumously, as they say. So if you want to call in about that Aloha ending Elvis's career, or if you want to ring in about the new Elvis movie that is in the works, it isn't actually been filmed yet. It hasn't been shot. It's starting in the next week or two, I believe, based on Elvis and Me, Priscilla's story, her take on her life with Elvis and her marriage and so forth. So there was quite a few emotive telephone calls last week about it. And as I say, I'm not closed to people ringing and speaking about it this week if they want to. If they don't want to speak about the Aloha ends Elvis's career, they can ring about the new Elvis movie called Priscilla. In the meantime, we can move on if there's nobody that actually wants to ring in about those two topics. That's fine. That's fine. I know that not everybody wants to ring in. I can do the Elvis, this day in Elvis history. Coming up, Photoshop and I Wish Elvis Had Recorded, which is a song like myself as you go about your week, whether you're at work or whether you're listening to the radio at home or in a supermarket, anywhere, and you hear a song and Elvis didn't record it, but you wished he had recorded it, then send it in to me and we can maybe cover it in a future episode, a future live. So that's coming up as well. But on this day in Elvis history, September the 5th, and I do have some photographs. If I can find them. Okay, here we go. 1954, Sun Records releases 2 discs, Good Rockin' Tonight, I Don't Care If the Sun Doesn't Shine, on 45s and 78s. So there's Good Rockin' Tonight, and the other Sun label was I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine. Then we've got 1956. Elvis received a telegram from RCA with official congratulations for an industry first when additional orders made the single Love Me Tender a gold record before it was even released. RCA got 918,230 orders before even releasing the single. Isn't that something else? 1963, Elvis had just hired Mike Keaton to come to California with the group, and in the very early morning, he also asked Jerry Schilling too to come with them. Elvis watched Dr. Strangelove at the Memphian. 1969, Elvis flew to Nashville with Charlie Hodge for an overdub recording session the next day. And basically what they did was Let Us Pray. He did a vocal overdub remake. He also did A Little Bit of Green, a vocal replacement, and A Little Bit of Green, harmony vocal overdub. Because you can hear the harmony vocal overdub on A Little Bit of Green on the released version. So that's what he was doing in 1969 at the RCA Studio A in Nashville, Tennessee. Not RCA Studio B. Obviously, just because he was doing overdubs, they didn't need the whole Studio B. Now, this is an interesting one. In 1975, 41-year-old Jackie Wilson suffers a heart attack while performing at the Latin Casino in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Ironically, he was in the middle of singing one of his biggest hits, Lonely Teardrops, and was 2 words into the line, My Heart Is Crying, when he collapsed on the stage, striking his head heavily. He suffered brain damage and lapsed into a coma. Although he never uttered another word, he remained clinging to life for over 8 years and died January 21st, 1984. This is interesting because Elvis paid some of his medical bills and visited him. After Elvis died, Dick Clark of American Bandstand took over the medical bills. So that was quite interesting. And we have a few shots there of Elvis and Jackie. So they knew each other for quite a few years. It wasn't just a one-off meeting. They did know each other quite well. 1976, Elvis in Palm Springs, not to return to Memphis until the 26th, the day following today. That's it for this day in Elvis history. Now, Photoshop. Yes, Photoshop is right. What have I got here? I have got a lovely photograph. Actually, what I'll do is I will just remind you that if you haven't yet voted, which one is your favorite? 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, and 1977 CBS Elvis in Concert. So if you haven't voted on that yet, please do. Please do. Oh, and don't forget, thumbs up if you like these videos. Don't forget as well that only subscribers can take part in the quiz, because subscribers are the only ones that can comment. I've got it on the subscribers only mode, simply because. So subscribe, click the bell, and then click all. Alrighty, that's just a reminder. So like, subscribe, and share, and tell everybody about these. Right, yes, a lovely, lovely photograph here I found of Marilyn Monroe and Elvis overlooking what it looks to be New York. I'm not too sure whether it's supposed to be New York or Los Angeles, but of course it isn't. It isn't a true picture, because it's a composite of two. So on the left you've got the real photograph of Marilyn in black and white, of course, because what basically is the Photoshop is colored. So we've got that one of Marilyn, and then we've got one of Elvis. I'll tell you where Elvis's was taken in a second. All right. And then we have that. And as you can see, those are the two separate photographs that have been used. Okay. And basically, the Elvis shot comes from the Knickerbocker Hotel. Elvis was at the Knickerbocker Hotel in Hollywood on Saturday, August 18th, 1956. And photographer Ed Braslaff took these photographs of him. He also took photographs of him arriving. He took photographs of him in his room. And he took these on the rooftop of the Knickerbocker. He was going to Hollywood to commence shooting for Love Me Tender. So as you can see, those are the ones that we used to make this Photoshop. Okay. Another thing you can actually tell is the actual angle of the wall doesn't match up. The angle of Marilyn, the wall that she's leaning on, doesn't match up with the angle of the wall that Elvis is sat on. So there you go. But those are the shots there from the Knickerbocker Hotel. If there's a Photoshop that you don't like and you're fed up of seeing and you know it's Photoshop, then send me in the Photoshop and send me in the original, and I can cover it in a future live show. Don't forget, you can still call in and ring me about you can ring me about what I said about Aloha ends Elvis's career. Why is it regarded as that he never did anything worthwhile in his career after January the 14th, 1973? There must be people out there with their own ideas of why journalists and why, to a certain extent, Graceland seem to think that they don't really need to do anything past 1973. They do a little bit of his sort of timeline and his biography after 1973. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. Hi, is that Jack?
It is.
Hey, Jack, good to hear from you.
Hey, good to be here.
Now, I know you have strong thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to tell you, you know how hard it is for a musician to get up on a Sunday morning? That's how much I like your show.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, so I want to touch on the movie first a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't even know if this movie is going to go through. You hear all the time about, a movie gets a green light and then they pull the plug and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to worry about that until it's actually in production and starts to come out. I don't think that Priscilla would want anything that's going to smear Elvis too much. I don't think it's in her best interest for that to happen.
She's got her daughter to think of as well as her job at EPE, hasn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a feeling that this is going to be nowhere near the epic that Boz's film is, and I don't think it's going to be received as anything more than like a TV movie of the week kind of thing. I think it's going to be received not very seriously. and I don't think it's going to have much of an impact at all. So I'm not even worried about that. I know a lot of people are really freaked out about it, and I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. And why do you think now? Why do you think it's being done now?
Well, obviously, the success of Baz's film and Elvis being brought into Elvis being brought into the limelight again is really what it is. So it's kind of a cash grab, it seems to me, and I think it's going to be received that way.
Okay.
And for all we know, this could just be publicity.
Yeah. Yeah.
This could be something that Sofia Coppola is going to make a movie about Elvis just to keep Elvis's name up there.
Yeah, that's because, as you say, not every movie is made. Like they just turn around and pull the plug.
Yeah, so it's worrying about it now is a little too premature, I think.
Okay,
so,
good.
I'll have to wait and see about that.
Right.
As far as the Aloha ending Elvis's career, you could tell by what reviewers say. You could tell more about the reviewer than what they're actually reviewing in a lot of cases. With a lot of these critics, this guy obviously has no idea what Elvis's career is about. He's just going with Aloha because that was the last highly publicized feat in Elvis's career. Tours after that were fantastic. June of '73 was great.
Yeah.
The December session at Stax was great. The Live in Memphis album.
Yeah.
The tours in the summer of '75. Elvis had a lot of things going on that were certainly as brilliant, if not more brilliant, than Aloha.
Pittsburgh was good. New Year's Eve, Pittsburgh was really, really good.
Sure, yeah. And I think this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about. And unfortunately, you don't have to know what you're talking about to talk about it when you're a journalist these days. So
exactly, yeah. I mean, he had some pages to fill, and that's how he filled them.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was on a deadline,
doing his job. Yeah. And then Duncan was mentioning the '77 special, the CBS special, and that you guys were talking about how Graceland EPE didn't want to put it out because they didn't want Elvis to be open to ridicule.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, Elvis's final years have been ridiculed so much that it's been blown way out of proportion. And I think releasing the '77 special would not only put it in perspective, but if it's edited properly and promoted properly, it could actually give the media a chance to look at Elvis in a more respectful light and say, well, look at this guy. He was still giving it as much as he could, as sick as he was, and he was still pulling out brilliant things. Trying to Get to You was great, and I Love You So was great, things that weren't in the original special.
Yeah,
so I think
it's strange. They left so much good stuff out. I mean, they left out Unchained Melody as well, which is a strange thing.
Yeah, so this could be actually beneficial to Elvis's image at this point to put that out. So I hope that they do. If somebody can get me a meeting with Lisa Marie, I'll sit down and talk with her and
you and me
try
both.
to get her to do this.
I'd love it. I would love it.
Yeah. Somebody needs to talk some sense into that girl and get that thing out here.
Okay, Jack, that's great. Thanks for getting up so early as well and joining the show. It's much appreciated.
I'll send you the bill.
Cheers. Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers, Jack. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, lovely fella, Jack. He's on the west coast of America, so it is still quite early, especially for a Sunday. He's a great guy. Right, so I was just about to say what I wish Elvis had recorded, a song I wish Elvis had recorded. If you're going about your daily business during the week and you hear a song and Elvis didn't record it, but you wish he had, then send it in to me and we'll cover it. And this one it was suggested by a subscriber to this channel called The One. Hi, The One, if you're watching this. Thank you very, very much for sending this in. And it's a song written by Lionel Richie and first recorded by American country music artist Kenny Rogers. It was released in September 1980. Now, a little bit too late, obviously, for Elvis, because as we know, 1977 he passed. But that still means it's still a song that I wish he'd have come across before he died, and if it had been written before he died, and he could have maybe covered it. It is listed as number 60 on Billboard's all-time top 100. Rogers once told an interviewer, the idea was that Lionel would come from R&B and I'd come from country and we'd meet somewhere in pop. The song is Lady. Okay. According to music historian Fred Brunson, the song would prove to be an important record for both Ritchie and Rogers. It became the first record in the 1980s to chart on all 4 of Billboard's magazine singles charts: country, Hot 100, adult contemporary, I find it very difficult to say contemporary, and top soul singles. It reached number 1 on the 3 of those charts in late 1980. On December the 27th, it would be knocked out of the top spot by Just Like Starting Over by John Lennon, for obvious reasons. We know what happened early that month. John Lennon was shot and killed just outside his apartment building, the Dakota building. On the Hot Country Singles chart, it would spend a week at the summit. Lady also peaked at number 42 on the top soul singles charts. I can imagine Elvis singing this. I really think he would have wrapped his voice around this, and it starts off kind of very, very quiet, and it gets sort of a little bit higher and higher and higher, and I think Elvis would have done this song justice. I'm pretty sure now that most of you are familiar with this song, Lady by Kenny Rogers. If you're not, as always, I will provide a link down below after this show finishes, and you can click on that and that will take you to it. And imagine Elvis singing Lady, written by Lionel Richie. Right. I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank the callers that called, Duncan and Jack, who rang in. Thank you very, very much. I'd also like to thank everybody that sent me messages during the week, sent me emails, sent me photographs and songs of the week and things like that, because it helps to do the show, helps with me with the making of the show. I will be announcing next week who wins the copy of the Elvis movie. So I don't want you to miss that either. So please join me next week. And we've got this music to see us out again. So until next week, please look after yourselves. Bye for now. Until next Sunday. I didn't do the poll, did I? Please don't go away. I got a little bit carried away there, didn't I? Which one is your favourite? 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, 1977 CBS. Now, what do you think of that? Silly Steve. Okay, here we go. Believe it or not, which one is your favourite? 61% 1968 TV special, 1973 Aloha from Hawaii, 30%, and the CBS TV special, only 9%. So, hands down, the 1968 TV special. I would have thought it would have been closer, the CBS Elvis in Concert and Aloha from Hawaii. But Aloha from Hawaii only got half the votes that the 1968 TV special got. So, yeah, that surprised me, I must admit. So there you go. I'll say goodbye for the second time. I'm glad I remembered to do the poll, because I would have been kicking myself if I hadn't done it. There'd have been people saying, what was the vote on the poll, Steve? So again, thanks for joining me. I do appreciate it. If you do want to support the channel, you can buy me coffee with the link below. And we'll be doing it all again next Sunday. Until then, please do look after yourself. Bye for now.